Hello, Mystic Travelers. Welcome to Tea and Spirits, where we take tea leaf messages from different spiritual realms to see what you need to know. Okay. Today we're going to be asking the spirit guides. We'll use this angel deck at first to get a card to kind of focus us today. And then we will read the tea leaves. And earlier in the day, not earlier, like 10 minutes ago, I make the tea, I drink the tea, and then now I'm here to spill the tea. So let's get started. 444 protection. So your guides want you to know that you are protected. A powerful boundary of angelic light surrounds you, shielding you from negativity and harm. You are held in the light of divine safety, assuring that you will fulfill your destined purpose. 444. Be looking out for those numbers over the next few weeks. Let's take a look. I usually like to pull about 3 images. Oh, there's a mountain range there. Okay. One of those plague doctors. Did you remember ever seeing like those images? Actually, I see one there and I see one here too. The images with the kind of the bird mask, and they would put lavender down in the tip to stop the smell. And then I'm trying to decide which. There's a lot of good images here. So we have a mountain range, we have plague doctors, and then we have a person in prayer. Okay. So the first impressions that I am getting from this are the feeling that in the past, or even maybe in the present, you haven't felt safe necessarily. There's a saying, and it's like, be careful about what feels like home if home was never a safe place for you. Okay. So if you've never really had that feeling of feeling fully protected, then, it can be really, really difficult to understand it when it arrives, because your nervous system, there's a card from my Cosmic Jester deck that I use in the new wax readings that I'm doing. And it says, your nervous system thinks a squirrel is a credible threat, right? And so the guides are saying you need to think about what protection and safety really means to you, because we can get into these situations sometimes. And I'll explain why this has to do with the mountain in just a second. We can get in these situations sometimes where we get used to a certain level of safety that's not really safe, but humans are so adaptable, right? And so for me, the mountain range image here has to do with like kind of being, the ancestors are challenging you to step out of the box when it comes to how you perceive safety, how you perceive protection. A lot of times we discover that the thing that we think is protecting us is actually harming us. And that goes with the image of the plague doctor as well, because a plague doctor would wear those masks to protect themselves from the plague, right? And they would put the flowers so they wouldn't have to smell the smell of the Black Death. But it didn't really functionally protect them, right? The plague mask didn't functionally protect them, maybe a little bit, but let's see what your cards say. Ace of Pentacles, King of Cups, the Devil, and 4 of Cups. Okay, so flowers on there. Okay. So coming back to the idea, so we have mountain, we have steadfastness. There could even be a really stubborn person in your life. There's another card from my Cosmic Jester deck that says something like, the river doesn't apologize for leaving the mountain. The guides are asking you to question what protection means to you, and if you have bought into an idea of protection that might not truly be serving your greatest good, right? This 4 of Cups reinforces that mountain image. of, there's a sort of like a stagnation or a boredom here. And coming back to the prayer, the person knelt in prayer. Your heart has already started that process. I always call it dark nighting, which is basically dark night of the soul from St. John of the Cross. He says that we will often sabotage what needs to happen for us because we think that we know better, right? We try to logic our way out of situations that need intuition, or we try to intuit our way out of situations that need logic. And so, stepping back and giving your subconscious mind or spirit or your guides or whatever a chance to guide you where you need to go, instead of trying to force a bunch of things that keep you trapped. Because this energy has the feeling like that, because this reading so far is about the feeling of false protection. So a lot of times, like I said, you might even be connected to people who are physically safe, like they aren't going to physically hurt you. But what about mind games? What about push-pull dynamics, things like that? Okay, King of Cups. There is emotional mastery feeling here, but next to the Devil and the Ace of Pentacles, it's like I get this juxtaposition. This King of Cups energy for you is like you're ready to bring this kind of emotional energy down into the real world, down back into reality. But paired next to this Devil energy, it's somebody who's used emotional mastery in order to manipulate and to make a person feel trapped. And this is that idea. So there's kind of a thing that goes around, and it's like that certain, men will be like, who will protect the women if we don't want you anymore, or something like that. And then the women are like, protect us from who? Sometimes, what we think is protecting us is not quite what we think it is. But it all has to do with what we're conditioned to as kids, right? And I also feel like with this idea of dark night of the soul coming up with the prayer, along with the plague mask, because obviously the plague mask has that first connotation, but it also has another connotation. And that is sometimes healing comes in the guise of something that seems terrifying on the surface. And shadow work is that, right? But you're protected through that. The light of divine safety. Look at that Queen of Cups energy coming right along the King of Cups. The Ace of Wands. Five of Cups, which I get a very different energy from this Five of Cups than I do from a lot of other decks. Okay, Ace energy. You're feeling like you're getting your fire back, and it is through this mastery of emotion, right? So this Queen here she's like, it's actually interesting because it does remind me of kind of like almost like a positive skew, the plague mask, like she's inhaling this kind of emotional truth, this kind of emotional light. There's a lot of cups in your energy. And Five of Cups is often, a very sad card. But from this Five of Cups, these lilies and stuff, I do not get that that energy as much. I mean, lilies can mean a lot of different things, but she doesn't seem to be mourning the cups like a lot of Five of Cups cards. There's an acceptance to this. Alongside the Judgment card, I'm feeling the energy of there was something you were blind to, but the dark night has been working within you, and the guides want you to know to listen. Listen to what the dark night is telling you. And what it is that your intuition, stuff will start bubbling up slowly, stuff that oftentimes will come up and you're like, I can't deal with that right now. And you'll push it back down, but it's going to be persistent. It's going to be consistent. It will not leave you alone until you acknowledge it. And then you make the changes and do the work that you're meant to do. And nobody wants to hear that. I myself have been in situations where I knew, but I was in denial, right? And so just be patient with yourself. You can only do what you can do until you can't do it anymore. But don't be strong like a mountain, but don't be stagnant or stubborn, right, about it. Because I know that, like, I like to turn nouns into verbs. So I always say this thing, I was like, don't Prometheus your way through something. So Prometheus, of course, being the Titan who gave, humanity fire. And as punishment, Zeus chained him to a mountainside, and an eagle would eat his liver every night or every day, and it would grow back overnight. And so the idea is like having this fierce stubbornness to the point of self-destruction. Don't do that to yourself. And I say this as a person who's been like that before, been like, oh, I was willing to do anything to keep this relationship together when it came to self-sacrifice. But why? Why did I do that? It's because of the inner wounds. It's because of not understanding what true safety, true protection means. And your guides know you're ready. And that's why this issue is starting to bubble up from your subconscious, that you know you can't ignore it anymore. And it's time to, the reckoning is here. And the reckoning is painful, but the reckoning brings you to a lighter, happier, safer place. Yeah, you're learning. Hierophant and the King of Swords, cutting through the illusions so that you can see more clearly. Instead of a affirmation card today, I'm just going to draw one of these picture cards, these storytelling cards, to see. I mean, you can pray if you want, or, you know, talk to your guides, whatever resonates with you personally, but do keep your spiritual family in close connection with yourself right now, especially during this dark night of the soul energy that I'm getting from here. A compass in the forest, but it's also like a mirror. Yeah. Your advice is that to listen. They're guiding you to where you need to go. Your gut is full of neurotransmitters, the same kind, I mean, maybe not the exact same, but basically they call your gut your second brain. So when you feel something about a situation, you're taught to ignore it, but your body knows. So the compass that the guides want you to think about is learning to trust your own gut again. Okay, so what happens is when you don't trust your gut, then you get to the point and you get confused and you get put in dynamics that are really, really toxic, or dynamics that are confusing. You feel like you can't trust your gut anymore, right? And what that does is cause you to end up in a place where you can't tell the difference between your intuition and anxiety. And this dark night that you're going through is going to bring, like I said, it's bringing protection and safety into the forefront. And you're going to crave true protection, true safety. And you're going to be able to discern between the false safeties and false protections that other people have offered you, because you are going to provide your own safety, your own protection. And you can do this, obviously get the help you need externally if you're in that kind of space. But also a lot of it is about like, what is the inner narrative going on? What is the inner story? Are you buying into someone else's narrative about you, or are you charting your own course? I know in times of my life, I've been in places where I really just didn't want to face a certain thing, but I acted like I wanted to face it, but I didn't do this consciously exactly. This all kind of happens right under the surface in our subconscious minds, right? So I didn't want to face certain things. And so I just kept saying things like, oh, well, this is out of my hands. If this person would do this, then everything would be fine. If this person would do that, then everything would be fine. When really that's true, right? Maybe that relationship would have worked out if that person had not done push-pull or whatever, right? Or done breadcrumbs or whatever. But I was choosing to ignore the fact that I was choosing to stay in a situation like that, because it was easier to do that than it was to face the fact that I was choosing this. And the reason I chose it was because that was what protection and safety felt like. Over functioning. It felt like home. As I said earlier, if home was not really a safe place, then be wary of connections that feel like home. But this being a guide reading and you getting 444 for protection, you are being protected, even if a lot of times on this surface, you feel like you have misplaced your feeling of safety and protection. Okay, beloveds. Thank you so much for being here. Keep up the great work. Tell me how this is healing in your life. What dark night are you going through right now? All right. Please discuss it below if you feel comfortable, and we will be here for you as much as we can. This our wonderful little community. I'm so proud to be a part of, and I will see you next time.